God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Holy you guys. Wow. What a couple of days it has been in the Karen Read case. I will tell you something. Hank Brennan is freaking out right now. He is beside himself thinking, what the hell did I do? What did I do? It's very funny because as much as people crap all over Adam Lally, I had said all through the trial last time, and when we were first introduced to Hank this time, I had said the thing about Lally, from a juror's perspective, you almost feel bad for him. He's like the unassuming, like kind of broken puppy, like sad Charlie Brown figure or something. So as a juror, you felt a little bad for Lally. And I feel like I have to tell you in retrospect that evens the playing field. And before Bukhenik sat down, literally like the night before he sat down to testify, I was thinking, I don't know. I was doing a video or looking at the possibility of doing a video on Karen Read's clips, the clips that Hank has been showing in court.
I think it looks like he got hit by a car. It looks like he got hit by a car.
And when you look at them all together, it made me very nervous because I hear the court of public opinion. I see people saying in the media or wherever.
I can understand the prosecution story here, that either Karen Read was so upset at John O'Keefe, she deliberately backed up the SUV to run him over, might be shaky, or that she was heavily intoxicated, ran him over recklessly, realized she might have done it, couple that with the idea of, did I hit him questioning it? I don't quite understand what would be the motive for John O'Keefe to go in that house. There's some fight that breaks out. They beat him up, leave him to die, put him outside, and then, my goodness, they frame Karen Read, and how lucky for them that she goes, and says, allegedly, I hit him, says things that implicate herself. It seems to me, I just don't understand what would be the reason that he would be killed by people in that house.
But yeah, she probably. So I'm thinking, all right, the jurors, and remember, there was a mistrial, and 8 of those jurors were ready last time to say, yeah, she probably did it. Enough to pass the bar on reasonable doubt not for the murder charge, but for the manslaughter charge, I guess, saying it was an accident. But clearly we are no longer in Kansas. I mean, that is a lifetime ago. This trial, they're not even in the same universe, these two trials. And that's because of Hank Brennan. That is the whole point. That's what I'm trying to say. And you think, like, it's absolutely true. Hank Brennan is outsmarting himself. He's thinking, and I actually, you know what? It's not even Hank Brennan who's outsmarting himself on this one. This one is all Michael Morrissey.
The harassment of witnesses in the murder prosecution of Karen Read is absolutely baseless.
I told you guys that I'm working on my theory of the case video, but so much is happening that I keep having to record something else, and that one just keeps getting pushed to the back. But in doing that research, I have been digging through all of the testimonies from the last trial. I'm talking about, Caitlin Albert, Chris Albert, Julie Albert, Nicole Albert, Brian Tully. I mean, everybody, Allie McCabe.
He was not at the house when John was there, so.
And of course, all of the greatest hits, right? Jen and Matt McCabe and Brian Higgins, Brian Albert, you name it.
And your explanation is that you and Nicole and Chloe, the German Shepherd, all slept through the entirety of that commotion on your front lawn.
Yes.
So while we're going through this trial, I'm going back and looking at all of this old testimony to try to figure out what really happened, right? Because that's the thing about Adam Lally. He wasn't afraid to just throw everything out there. I'm the good guy. Can't get mad at me. And it worked. It worked. But Michael Morrissey, the district attorney's office, who had to have that conviction all along, this group, they doubled down. Soon as Karen Reed's supporters, as soon as Turtle Boy got into the mix, right? When he found out about the 227 Google search, he got involved, and that started to pick up momentum. Obviously, that's largely how we got to the point where we are at now. But when that happened, what did they do? The DA went after Turtle Boy. They went after him full force. They're still going after him now. They brought back from the dead Massachusetts Supreme Court judge to prosecute Turtle Boy. Okay? That's the guy. That's who Cosgrove is, in case you haven't been paying attention. They're doubling down. So what did they do? Because they're genius, right? They went and they got a defense attorney who doesn't understand the prosecutor's office, who doesn't understand how to earn the trust of a jury, who doesn't understand that you can't obfuscate the truth if you're going to be wearing the good guy hat. Because Hank Brennan is not a good guy. This is not an Adam Lally. He is not a sympathetic figure, not at all. In fact, from the moment I laid eyes on Hank and he opened his mouth, I was like, oh, I don't like you. Like, you give off like evil vibes. Like, you're a bad dude. You are gaslighting.
Your Honor, my purpose is not to deprive the defense of an expert or deprive the defense of an ARCA expert in this case.
You are projecting.
Well, what the government worries about is that there is other things that are relevant, like compensation, promise, reward, inducement, whether there's collaboration between one side or the other and that expert witness that they don't know about and can't ask about. That there's some type of bias or favoritism that the expert might have towards one side for whatever reason.
You are like everything that is wrong with the world, and it's very apparent, and it was pretty early on apparent to me that the DA went out and got Hank Brennan to try to get ahead of the defense. Remember, Hank's whole claim to fame was the Whitey Bulger case.
Name's Whitey Bulger. He had been the head of organized crime in Boston for 25 years. I was appointed to his case as his defense lawyer. There were dozens of cooperating witnesses testifying against Bulger.
These witnesses would say anything to help the government story. When I started the cross-examination, the first government rap was John Martirano, calls himself the hitman, killed 22 people by his admission, which was quite modest. Rewarded by the government with millions of dollars. He's allowed to walk the streets, lives in our neighborhood, still protected by the federal government because he helped them. He had gone on 60 Minutes and said he was not a murderer. He was a vigilante. He was trying to justify stabbing somebody. He said he stabbed him 2 times. And I got the Boston Police Department reports. He actually stabbed the man 23 times. He said it was self-defense. And so I said, why would you stab him again a couple more times after he put him in the car? And John Martirano got mad for the first time in front of the jury and screamed at me because he wouldn't shut up. And so the idea was to show that not only was he a demonic psychopath, but the government was just as bad for freeing him and putting him on the street for their own purposes.
The whole point of the defense team, they knew he was going to be convicted. It was never about getting him off. It was about exposing corruption in the government, right? That's what the whole thing was. That's what Whitey Bulger wanted, and that's what Hank Brennan did. Good little soldier. And that is what he's doing here. The DA thought, oh, we'll go and get a good little soldier with his kind of OCD, master of the universe, kind of strategic chess playing mind, is trying to figure out how to organize the order of these witnesses, who to present, what to present, how to present it, all with the intention of obfuscating the truth, of hiding the truth. This is the same guy who stood up and for weeks arguing, oh, I'm nothing against ARCA. No, I'm not trying to prevent ARCA from testifying.
Do you feel like you're an advocate for the defense?
No, sir.
Are you sure about that?
Sir, I'm on the science and the analysis that I've done. That's the side that I'm on.
You sure are.
He then proceeds for what, 90 minutes straight to try to do everything that he could, every trick he had to make Dan Wolfe look like a fool, but foiled again because Daniel Wolfe just happens to be like one of the greatest human beings like the world has ever seen. Like if there was a modern day hero, it would be Dan Wolfe because of his combination of integrity, innocence, intelligence, academic accomplishments. Like he's a good human. He's a good man with like a good spirit. He's talking about making potato launchers to, for fun. And then you have Hank Brennan, who's like the consummate villain. He's a villain. And the jury knows that Hank is a villain because he's not likable. So in a way, the great irony of all of this is that when all is said and done, if the Commonwealth loses this case, which at this moment I fully expect to have happen, but who knows? I don't want to get ahead of myself. I don't want to jinx anything. I'm not saying that. I'm not being overly confident or cocky. I'm just saying if the Commonwealth loses, when Alan Jackson stood up and began his cross-examination of Ury Bukhenik.
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Sergeant Bukhenik.
Good afternoon, sir.
I want to talk to you for a second about roles in this case, in this investigation. Would you agree with me that Michael Proctor was the lead investigator as well as the case agent in charge of this case?
He was assigned as the case officer for the case.
In that position, given the fact that it was his assignment, would you agree with me that he had a leadership role insofar as the investigation of the case was concerned?
I wouldn't call it a leadership role. It's more of a facilitator, liaison between the DA's personnel within the office and the state police. He also helps facilitate any missions, outstanding tasks that need to be completed.
That was the moment when the tides turned and this case was lost for Hank Brennan. And actually, I wouldn't blame Hank. Who I blame is Michael Morrissey, because he thought he was so smart to find somebody, a defense attorney, a guy who thinks like a defense attorney, a guy who's going to get in front of those people who are trying to make a case against corruption, right? But the entire time, and I saw this from the beginning, and because I'm not an attorney and the law is not my specialty, I was afraid to say it. I didn't want to sound like a fool, so I didn't want to say it out loud. But now I see that, wow, that hunch that I had at the time might have been actually right. I believe that while Hank Brennan is organized in a certain way, he's very controlling, he's very OCD, but he's so controlling that I don't think that Hank Brennan ever went back and watched the first trial. Like, truly, I don't think he had any interest in watching the first trial. From Hank's perspective, he had an idea early on about like, okay, I have to prove that this woman did this. How am I going to do it? Like, that was it. That's the reason why there is no Brian Albert. Why there is no Michael Proctor, because Hank Brennan is thinking, okay, Karen Reed is guilty. How am I going to prove it? That's it. That's all he's thinking. But the problem is, if you try to hide the reality of this case, it is going to come back and bite your face off. And you know who else is learning that? There's a long list that Hank's going to have to be added on to, right? You know who else is learning that? Michael Morrissey, Brian Tully, Michael Proctor, Ury Bukhenik, Brian Higgins, Brian Albert, Jennifer McCabe, Colin Albert, all of the Albert and McCabe children, some of whom might be great humans. I don't know. I'm sure they don't deserve this. I'm sure they don't. I mean, I'd be shocked, right? Because, probably most of the Albert kids are like normal kids. Most of the McCabe kids, girls, are probably fine people. I don't know. Allie seems like a nice enough kid, just born into the wrong family. I mean, you can't really help that. That's just kind of what happens, right? It's like the luck of the litter, the luck of the draw. So the tragedy is when you hitch your hat to the bad guys and you double down to like put your stake in the ground, the whole world comes crashing in on you and everything that you touch comes apart. Everything you care about turns to. So, I mean, I guess when all is said and done, Hank Brennan gets like $1 million out of all of this. And so whatever. So what if he goes down as like the true crime villain of the universe? I don't know. The bad guy, I guess. What does he care? He can retire and just go live on an island somewhere. And that's that. It is truly ironic because up until yesterday, I would have told you that Hank Brennan was so much better of an attorney. So much better than Adam Lally. But today, I don't know. If winning is the goal, then I think this was a potentially catastrophic miscalculation on the part of Michael Morrissey. And I don't even think like we're a quarter of the way done with this yet. Like this isn't over. I mean, even when this trial is over, this isn't over. There's thousands and thousands of people who are just learning about this case now. So I don't know where this is headed, but my gut is telling me that it's not great if you're on Team Commonwealth. All right, you guys. I got a bunch of new stuff coming, bunch of videos coming, and I'm pretty sure I will be doing a Monday Night Live, 10:30 again. My second live. I got to just start doing it, right? Just got to keep doing it and just doing it and doing it so that it becomes second nature because it is a lot of fun. And, I love editing videos. It's a blast, but it takes a lot of time and it's maybe too much time, more time than I truly have, right? It's my summer right now. As many of you know, I'm a PhD candidate, but I also have a full-time job and a family and it's becoming untenable, certainly. So we'll see one day at a time. Everybody enjoy your weekend and be safe. Take it easy.
God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through eyes covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything.